Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I've been off for a bit because I have an infection in this eye. Hopefully you can't see it. I try to hide it with the lighting, but if you do see it, I apologize. Looks horrible, but I'm feeling better now. Yeah, I wanted to do this video because I've been playing Last Epoch, as you may know. I've been playing Last Epoch for a bit now, for a couple weeks since launch. A little bit before the launch, I did play. And I have thoughts. I thought coming from like first being a casual player, not a hardcore player, being a casual player who used to play Diablo, where do I stand in terms of Last Epoch versus Diablo 4 kind of not competition but rating? I would say what I like best in one game, what I consider better in another. Um, so I thought, let's do this Last Epoch v Diablo 4 video. And I made this little sheet here for us to kind of indicate here which one I think wins. I'm not gonna be, putting let's say grades. Let me just bring up my camera here. I'm not gonna be using grades. I'm just gonna go ahead and use just indicate which one I like better. And then, you know, I'm just gonna talk a little bit, maybe. Okay, so let's get going. I don't want to make this video too long. So in terms of campaign, the story, the quality of it, I think Last Epoch, the campaign to me wasn't that fun. Um, to be honest, I didn't follow the story that much because it got boring. It was a point where it got boring and just blasted through it. I don't necessarily play these kind of games because of their story. It's fun that they have lore. It's fun that they have stuff content, but I don't necessarily play them for that. So it's not a big deal for me. But Last Epoch for sure wasn't a great story. In my opinion, people may differ, of course, but in my opinion, it wasn't a great story. It got boring, and by you know a few hours in, I was just like clicking through the dialogues and not paying attention. So the story in Last Epoch, even though playing through the campaign was enjoyable for me, the campaign is designed to get you leveled up, so you can go to the end game, with not it's the tutorial basically. In this kind of games, the campaign is basically a tutorial, shows you the world, it shows you how to move around, how to switch things around, different areas, different stuff, and it tells you a story. But it walks you through all the mechanics of the game, so when you finish it and you're in the end game, you know the game. So basically, campaigns in this type of games, in my opinion, you may think different, but they're kind of the tutorial of the game to get you familiarized with all its mechanics for the end game, so to prepare you basically for what you're going to be playing year in and year out. So Last Epoch campaign, not very good for me. Diablo 4, was the story was much more engaging, to be honest. Not only because I've been a Diablo fan for a while, but the story was much more engaging. So I'm gonna give campaign to Diablo. I don't think this is a surprise. I'm gonna go green better. Um, um, I don't think this is a surprise. I think this is the overall consensus of it all. In terms of gameplay, and when I say gameplay, I'm gonna specify here the combat. Um, oh, I missed one. I missed something here that I want to. Let me just put here itemization. I want to talk a little bit about it. Okay, so gameplay, combat. Let's Last Epoch, great combat, great skills. The gameplay feels good. Diablo, no contest in my opinion. The combat in Diablo is just the best combat I've ever played in a, well, specifically Diablo 4, right? It's the best combat that I've ever played in an ARPG. Like, no contest. I have my little things with Last Epoch's combat. It doesn't feel it's a bit clunky. Um he's not as responsive. It's not really responsive. I have this issue, constant issue, that the my style of playing is that I always have a kind of a, let's call it a basic attack on my left, no, my right click in the game. And so I would, when I'm attacking, I would hold the right click and just start tapping on the abilities, on the skills, as I hold right click. And the game really has issues with that. Like, if I'm holding the button, and I'm pressing for the skills don't always work. Like, it's a 50-50 chance is gonna work. So I just have to make sure I'm not pressing any other button when I'm using a skill. Like, you can't press two buttons at a time, because you get into a situation where it's a 50-50 chance it's gonna work. And you have no clue how many times I've been killed because of that. Whereas Diablo, none of those issues are a problem in Diablo. I've never had that issue in Diablo. So, and it's not the cooldown, and it's not, I've thought about all of that. So for me, Diablo 4 has the best combat in any ARPG at the moment, hands down. I'm not, for me, it's not even a contest. Then we have builds diversity. Um, and here, yeah, I'm just thinking, because it's kind of the same thing with the combat, hands down, is Diablo 4. Well, builds diversity, hands down, is Last Epoch. There's it's a great, if Last Epoch development team did something amazing, is how they design the progression in this game. I think this is the best thing that this game has. And is it, and versus Diablo 4, I mean, it's Diablo 4 is just nothing basically. It's so simple in that sense. It's not deep at all. One thing that I forgot about mentioning about it, it applies also to gameplay, is that, or combat, is that, you have this genre. I've said this a few times. You have this genre, um you have this genre that's called action RPG, right? um i think I think Diablo 4, it's leaning more, it's heavier on the side of action. From that formula, action RPG, let's say it's a balance, right? Action, and RPG. I think Diablo 4 in action, it's heavier, it's stronger there. It's focused more on the action more than the RPG part of the genre. And then and Last Epoch, because of its build diversity and progression system. I may rename this to be progression system. It's hands down Last Epoch, because you have not only more classes, you have 5 classes, which are the ones that are here in this picture, right? But then you have subclasses, which in the game are called masteries, and each one of those has 3 subclasses. So you have, 15, um 15 possibilities of different characters. And then, I'm sorry, you have a skill tree that's for the class, another skill tree for each subclasses or mastery, and then you have skill trees per skill that you choose to specialize in. So you have basically a minimum of 7 skill trees. And then also you have access to half of the skill tree from the masteries you didn't choose to pursue. So that offers so much flexibility, so much diversity, that the progression system here, it's just amazing. So Last Epoch gets its first win here. Diablo, it's good. I like it. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm not gonna be one of these, hater content creators that just hate Diablo 4 because it's cool to hate Diablo 4. No, I love Diablo 4. I'm a big fan. I've been playing it since day one. It's the game that I've put the most amount of hours in my entire life, I think. And as a casual, okay? It is important. This is a video coming from a casual player for casual players. Okay, so then progression system, Last Epoch hands down is the best. And it also feels better sooner. What I'm trying to say here, like each you know, your you start feeling the power of your abilities way sooner than in Diablo. Like in Diablo, the progression is a little bit slower. It's not, I don't know how to explain it. Like when you're by level 40, maybe in Diablo 4, is when you start really feeling like a badass, right? When you really start like you have a build that it's just blasting through enemies. In Last Epoch, that sensation of power, I think it comes, at least in my experience. I haven't created like I haven't tried all of the classes and subclasses, but um, in my opinion, in at Last Epoch, you start feeling like very powerful way sooner. So, and also, um, oh, I just had a thought and lost it. Well, okay. Maybe I remember. I was talking about the progression system. Oh, about the builds. Yeah. Um, the cool thing about it, and I didn't include PoE here because I didn't play PoE. I haven't played PoE that much, so I feel bad just talking about it without having the entire experience. I just can't handle PoE, to be honest. I don't have the time to handle PoE. By the time I come back to it, I just forgot everything. So but one thing that also wins in Last Epoch is that the progression system is very deep. It offers a lot of diversity without getting as complicated as PoE, and without being as simple as Diablo 4. Like, for if you want, you can actually do, if you are a casual player like me, you can definitely do your own build in Last Epoch without following a guide. like like I've done it with a couple characters already, and I keep discovering like mistakes that I make, but it's fine. It works. And in PoE, I mean, forget about that. I mean, most likely, if you're not like a super hardcore pro, you're just gonna need a guide. It's just insane. So that's another thing that why Last Epoch wins. It offers a lot of diversity, flexibility, and it's really a very deep progression system, and but at the same time, it's very intuitive in that sense. So then, let's move to itemization. And this is, I'm not gonna linger too much here. It's obviously Last Epoch, the itemization here. It's better in Last Epoch. It's so much intuitive, comprehensive, detailed. How they develop, like how they design the items, the information, the items, the different types of items. It's super cool. It's just definitely super cool. And Diablo 4, we all know it's a mess. Oh, one thing about the itemization, I don't know if it's part of the itemization, but the whole loot filter in Last Epoch is just a huge W right away. So Diablo 4, huge L here, no loot filter, and the itemization is bad. And they even know it because in season 4 we're gonna get a new patch with an itemization overhaul of the game, fixing it. So easy pick here, Last Epoch. Then crafting, again, I'm not gonna linger a lot here because you don't have crafting in Diablo 4 basically. I mean, you can do some certain things that you do in Last Epoch, but the whole crafting system in Last Epoch is just much deeper, intuitive, and it's so good. The fact that you can do it on the go. One thing that I have about the crafting system is that I like that I can do it on the go. Like I just have to press a button and I'm crafting. The only question that I have about that is that why then have an NPC in the hub? So that was confusing to me. And the only reason why is like when I discovered that I can craft on the go whenever I can want, it's like the whole thing about having an NPC to actually do that was a little bit like confusing to me because I was like, why have an NPC? Like I assumed that by having the NPC, then that's the only place where I can do that. It's similar to respecking the passive tree. So yeah, but yeah, crafting is and Last Epoch is much better. And then trading, again, the trading system in Last Epoch, it's so good. It's so much better. You don't have trading in Diablo basically. So it's an easy win for Last Epoch here too. The cool thing about Last Epoch is like you can actually choose if you wanna be if you wanna trade with other players or if you just wanna find items on your own as you play the game. So you can choose between those two, and the game will allocate you with with the players who chose like you. At least that's what I understood. Let me know in the comments below if I understood incorrectly. Again, I'm not a master here. I'm just a casual player, um, creating, pretending to be hardcore player, I guess. Bosses. This is gonna be a controversial one because I'm pretty sure Diablo 4 has a lot of problems with its bosses, especially the hitboxes are weird sometimes, and not all bosses are fun. The mechanics on some of the bosses are very boring and such. However, I just don't find I haven't found one boss that I've truly enjoyed in Last Epoch. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the clunkiness. I don't know if it's because of the experience. One of the things that I hate about Last Epoch that I should have mentioned in the gameplay when we were talking about gameplay, and it's the dodge. The whole thing that the fact that Last Epoch doesn't have a dodge or a roll, it's just I don't know. I keep repeating myself saying like I would have wanted to be in that meeting where that decision was made. Like, okay, we're not gonna have a dodge roll because I just wonder why, what would be the reason. And in gameplay, that truly applies. That's one of the things why one of the reasons why Diablo 4 also wins in gameplay slash combat. And in bosses, I don't know if it's because of the lack of that dodge, but the bosses just feel they don't feel polished, in my opinion, versus Diablo 4, which may need more polish, to be honest. Especially the hitboxes are weird. In my experience, I don't know if you guys, but let me know in the comments. But in my experience, the hitboxes are not very clear, and I don't know if they've improved it. I don't remember. I haven't noticed, but yeah. Um, but the bosses, for me, the bosses win. I think they're just way more polished, fun. Their designs are better. I just don't. Last week, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the combat itself or the gameplay itself that I'm not truly enjoying the bosses. So I'm gonna give bosses here to Diablo 4. In terms of amount, I don't know yet. I really don't know. So I guess you know I don't know. Okay, so hardcore, and I'm talking about playing hardcore. Now, I'm gonna highlight this in yellow, to be honest, because I haven't played hardcore in Last Epoch. So, but for what I know, I just don't understand it. For what I've heard from other players, other, content creators, I just don't understand Last Epoch's. Should I make this? I just don't understand Last Epoch's. I should have made this sooner, right? But yeah, okay. Um, I just don't understand Last Epoch's. What did I do? Well, okay. I don't understand Last Epoch's hardcore mode. Why? Because you choose to create a hardcore character, but the thing is that if you lose, if you're killed, you don't lose your character. You're just the character just turns into a softcore character or a standard character. So I don't understand the purpose of hardcore mode. Is it harder in some other way? What exactly is, because if the whole deal with hardcore a hardcore character, especially in Diablo 4, is that if your character is killed, you lose it completely. It's erased. It's done. You're done. So the whole rush about that mode is that you're cautious. You don't want to lose your character. You want to get to a level 100 without losing once. So, but here you literally can lose. You can get killed. I guess you don't want to. I guess you avoid it. But if you get killed, character you can continue with the character, it just becomes a softcore character. So I don't understand the mode, the reason, the purpose of a hardcore mode, if you're not going to literally lose your character. You're just gonna you can just continue playing. So I just don't understand it. I guess there's something there that I'm missing. That maybe there's something you lose, the stash. I don't know. But just gonna give Diablo the hardcore because I don't know. I guess I understand Diablos and not Last Epochs. End game. Okay, so here's one that is tricky because uh to be honest, I haven't spent that much time in the end game for Last Epoch, and for Diablo, of course, I have for every season I've done the end game and created a character. Not always a character for I've never got I've I haven't done all characters gotten all characters to 100 level 100 in all seasons, but I've been playing for a bit. So and then Last Epoch is just for a few weeks, but I gotta say that the end game, I'm enjoying much more the end game in Last Epoch than I enjoyed it in Diablo 4. I'm not saying I don't like the end game in Diablo 4. This is one thing is that I see all the content creators, and I don't know, they seem like because they enjoy one game better than the other, then the other is just trash. And I'm not like that way. I just don't think Diablo 4 is trash because Last Epoch has a better end game. And I just spoiled that. I do think that Last Epoch has a better end game, or it's going to have a better end game anyways at the end. But I just don't think Diablo 4 endgame is bad per se, but it gets pretty boring after a bit. I gotta say, it gets pretty boring after a bit, and I haven't been bored at Last Epoch, especially because now in the end game in Last Epoch, you can actually um farm things. Like you can actually do activities for a specific reward versus Diablo 4 where you don't you just get random shit. and you don't know, you can't farm anything specific in terms of items, armor or weapons and such, versus Last Epoch in the monoliths. You can actually search, you can select what you want as a reward. You can see it prior. All the monoliths have like a icon, and then you can hover them and they tell you what you're gonna get. Da, 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 da. So I like that better. And then the dungeons in Last Epoch are cool too. I don't know. I'm enjoying a lot the end game in Last Epoch, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna come up with for seasons. Um, Diablo 4. I don't know if it's because of the itemization issues that they have, and then the lack of certain things, but the end game is good. I've been having fun. It don't get me wrong, but it truly feels very, I don't know. It gets repetitive very soon, which is fine. This type of games are very repetitive and grindy, but I don't know. Last Epoch has something that I can put my finger on that to me feels like better. Now, new versus veterans, and what I'm trying to talk about here is like which game is better for new players, for casual new players like me. And hands down, it's gonna be Diablo 4. Diablo 4 it's a much simpler game overall. And it's much simpler to grasp and to learn and to understand. It's much more intuitive. And given that the game is so action driven, it's more digestible for new players, versus Last Epoch, which is, it has a degree of complexity that maybe it's simple and intuitive, but to people who are um knowledgeable and are not necessarily completely new to the genre. I think it's super easy for those who have played Diablo for a bit and come here to Last Epoch and they encounter this system, which is a little bit more complicated, deeper, but completely comprehensible, versus someone who never played this, never played Diablo, never played an RPG, comes to Last Epoch. It might be a bit overwhelming, and it might be maybe a too much and too complicated. So I think that Diablo 4 is still the game for the casuals. It's still the game for the newcomers. It's still the game for those who want to get into the genre, um, for the first time. Not Last Epoch. Last Epoch would be the second step, and then POE. I don't know when. So this is my assessment. Let's say of which of Last Epoch versus Diablo 4. Let's see how many points we got. So Last Epoch, we got progression system is better, the itemization is better, the crafting and the trading. So 4 points there, and endgame is better. 5. We got 5 points for Last Epoch. And I'm not sure. 5 points. And then we got 5 points for Diablo. I know that's gonna be very controversial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I know that's gonna be very controversial. To be honest, I didn't plan for that. Not at all. It's not to me trying to be fair, but it's just how it came out. Uh, of course, we can keep adding categories here. There are many other things, but so far, where I'm at with the game, this is where these are the categories that I feel comfortable talking about. You can get into other stuff that are deeper, but I only been playing Last Epoch for 3-4 weeks now, so I just want to talk about things that are um that I can talk about. So yeah, there you got it. Last Epoch, Diablo 4. They have a tie so far for me, even though um I'm feeling that the points where Last Epoch win. Uh, I mean the categories where Last Epoch won are more important to me than these. I missed one. I actually missed one, and Diablo would have been the winner. I actually thought about two now that Diablo 4 would have been the winner, and I'm gonna include them. Let's include them. Um, what? Yeah, here, and let's add another one. So graphics. Let's do graphics, and let's do sound and music. And to be honest, to be quick here, I don't think this is a surprise. I think graphics, Diablo 4 wins, clearly wins, and sound and music for sure, clearly wins Diablo. So overall here, what we have is that production value, Diablo 4 is a clear winner. And then as game mechanics and game design, I think Last Epoch it's a clear winner. That's my assessment. Even though Diablo has 7 points here, it's higher in in this list. Lame list, to be honest. But yeah, that's me. Um, I gotta be honest. These categories in which Last Epoch won are more important to me and are more engaging to me. I do appreciate a good story, but story is done, so that's fine. I do appreciate good combat, but Last Epoch does have a good combat. It's just that Diablo 4 has a better combat. uh Progression system is the most important thing in in a action RPG, and Last Epoch won, but by far here. Itemization of it's also one of the most important things in an action RPG, and Last Epoch wins this by far. Crafting and trading, I'm not a big fan, so they don't have much weight. Still win. And then you have the end game, which is basically what you're gonna spend all your hundreds of hours in the game. And then Last Epoch has a better end game, in my opinion, or has the potential to be a better end game um, than Diablo. So these 5 points are much heavier for me than the 7 points that Diablo 4 has. um Hardcore, I don't care about hardcore. I do create hardcore characters, but I don't give a fuck about hardcore. And then the bosses, yeah, I mean, Last Epoch could be better with the bosses. I mean, hopefully they will get. This is a heavy one. This is a heavier one. This one weighs a lot here on Diablo 4 side, but I have hopes for Last Epoch. And then the graphics, yeah, it's graphics are super important for me. And sound and music, of course. Graphics, because I'm a computer animator by profession, so I pay attention to a lot of graphics, and they're very important for me. But ultimately, they're not necessarily what you play; it's just what you see or look at. So yeah, they're important for me, but it's not gonna make me choose a game. Graphics is not gonna make me choose a game over the other. Then you have sound and music. Again, very important. You can see that I am a musician, and I have my keyboards and my guitars and a drum set and blah blah blah. And I make my own music here. If you wanna, if you wanna listen to my music, go to Spotify, look for FCOS, EFCOS, and you can see some tracks that I have there. Anyways, sound and music, yeah, music. Basically, production value here in Diablo 4 is much better than in Last Epoch. Still, Last Epoch is not that it has horrendous music. It's just that Diablo 4 is better. The music in Last Epoch is fine. It's just fine. It's just not better than Diablo. And sound, I found a few issues with the sounds in Last Epoch. Some bosses don't have sound effects for some reason. And some sound effects in the attacks of some enemies and bosses are a bit off, in my opinion. Like they seem very, I don't know, like not the right sound for that effect, or a sound that is just bad for it or very low somehow. Yeah, it lacks. So, but again, I'm not gonna choose a game over the other because of the music and the sound. So that's just one of the things that are important for me, but not necessarily like a killer decision maker. And then the new versus variant, that's fine. It doesn't matter. So yeah, even though Diablo wins for in this list, in my opinion, I think I'm choosing Last Epoch as the better game because of the priorities of what I enjoy in these type of games. Um, I'm having such a good time with Last Epoch. I'm really not liking the clunkiness and the issues that it has, but nevertheless, I'm thinking that for me as a Diablo 4 player, casual player, I must say, very important. Um, Last Epoch has become the Diablo killer. And that's a bad thing. Like not a bad. It's a hard thing for me to say because I've been a Diablo fan for a while now. And it kind of hurts a little bit, but to be honest, Last Epoch is it's not the better game. It has the potential to become the better game, in my opinion. Um, and I'm gonna stick to it. I'm having fun with it, and I'm exploring a lot with the different characters, different subclasses. I'm having such a blast. I'm following guides. I'm trying not. I'm doing characters without guides, and it's surprising. It's how fun it's been. So yeah, there you go. That's my Last Epoch versus Diablo 4. Again, I didn't do PoE, Path of Exile, because I haven't played Path of Exile for too long, for too much, and I don't feel comfortable talking about something that I don't know about enough. So, and these options here that I chose to show here are the things that I feel competent to talk about the games that I've talked about. So, anyways, that's it. I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, if you like this video, hit like. If you didn't, just do this dislike. That's fine. If a lot of people watch this video, a lot of people probably will hit dislike because it's such a good cool thing to be um to talk trash about Diablo and Diablo 4 and Blizzard and Activision. So the fact that Diablo won in this list, I'm pretty sure if this video is gets a few views, I'm gonna get a negative sentiment. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, subscribe also if you like this type of videos, and hit the notification. I'm so bad at this shit. Okay, you know what to do. You know what I'm trying to say. Everybody says it. That's fine. If you want to do it, just do it. Subscribe, hit the like button, uh, the bell or whatever. Bye. Take it easy.